confirming that President Trump has commuted his sentence. Hoover is a
Guys, Julian Hemmings here. You just saw that Larry Hoover had his federal sentence commuted. Now, what does that mean? Does it mean Larry Hoover's free? No, Larry Hoover is not free. Okay? However, Larry Hoover had two charges. The first charge was a federal charge that happened in the 1990s because he was found guilty of still running the criminal organization GD while he was behind bars. But there's a state charge where he was found guilty of a murder of a drug dealer within his community in the 1970s. So now the federal charge is taken out. The governor now has the ability to commute that sentence. And if both sentences are commuted, Larry Hoover, the leader of the GDs, is now free. Now, let me ask you a question. What does GD stand for? GD stands for Gangster Disciples. It's also stood for God's Disciples. But GD, according to Larry Hoover, now stands for Growth and Development. Larry Hoover changed the mission of the GDs. He didn't want to have simply a gang. He didn't want that. No, he wanted to make sure that they were giving back to the community, helping, supporting, creating things like Chicago boats. Okay? It's an incredible kind of story, man. It's about change and growth and passion and the realization that, Larry Hoover, for some people, needed to exist because the government, the U.S. government, wasn't doing enough for Black people in that community. They needed protection, they needed resources, they needed jobs. And this shows that for people who are othered in society, when we don't pay attention to them, when we don't help them, those communities begin to form their own governments within our country, kind of outlaw governments, using the black market to support themselves and fund themselves. So Larry Hoover's sentence has been commuted. It's a powerful message. And, keep going. It's a big story. Hopefully there's a bigger change and we can do more. In my personal opinion, Larry Hoover was a complicated figure. He did sell drugs in our communities, which is terrible. But he's been in the prison system since the 1970s. The man is now 73. And I'm sure he did terrible things. But I think that our system of law should not be based purely on retribution. It should be based on the idea of reform and rehabilitation. And he has spent 23 hours. He spends 23 hours a day in solitary confinement, probably losing his mind. We shouldn't be able to move forward as a society, do things that are more productive for the criminal justice system to really move people forward instead of kind of, having this mentality of just pure retribution. Last thing, and for the person to commute him to be President Donald Trump, that says a lot.
a former Chicago gang leader and the founder of the Gangster Disciples. He was serving a life sentence at a prison in Colorado. Hoover was convicted of murder in Chicago and then later convicted on several federal charges. He will still have to serve his sentence on state charges.